Welcome, everybody. I am Therese Fortin Barnes, your host. I am here with a very special guest, and we are talking about chemicals and ingredients that are potentially hazardous in our everyday products. And I am here today with breast cancer survivor and thriver, Sharon Newman. Sharon, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here today.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate your time, taking out your time, because I always believe that people can learn so much from other people's life stories, life experiences. And that's what we're trying to do, is spread the knowledge. So for everybody listening, Sharon Newman is a breast cancer survivor who is passionate about educating others about the safety of the ingredients used in everyday personal care products and advocating at the federal level for stricter regulations in that industry. As a carrier of a mutation in the BRCA2 gene and a mom of 2 children, she felt that she needed to do better for her family and loves sharing her knowledge and story with others. Sharon is a philanthropist, public speaker, business owner, and volunteer group peer support worker at Women's College Hospital in Toronto. And she is just north of me because I am in Buffalo and she is in Toronto. So I feel like we are neighbors, Sharon.
We are just over the lake.
Yep, just over the lake, even though we can't get over the lake right now, but soon.
We'll be stopped by Coast Guards.
Yeah, oh yeah, that I've heard of people going through Lake Erie and getting their boats taken away. But we are still in the middle of, not the middle, towards the end of the pandemic and COVID, and hopefully all those restrictions will be lifted soon. And Sharon and I can one day meet in person, but she and I have met through Clubhouse and Instagram, and she and I share a lot in common because both of us want to help as many people as possible learn about these chemicals and ingredients that are in our everyday personal care products and are not regulated. And they are in the United States, they are allowed in all of these personal care products, and it's proven, or you're innocent until proven guilty, as opposed to in Canada is a little bit better. UK is better as well, where you have to prove the products are safe. But here nor there, and I think, and Sharon, you can correct me on that because you probably know that, being from Canada as well.
Yeah, so no, it's actually the same as the US.
Oh,
yeah, it has to be, you can use whatever you want, and it's not until there is a proven link between an ingredient and a health effect, a negative health effect, that they will say that the ingredient can't be used. The difference between Canada, the US, and the UK is that Canada has restricted more ingredients than the US, and UK even more than Canada. So, so they're taking a stricter approach in Canada, but yeah, you can slap whatever ingredient into your products, put it on the shelf without it being tested. Absolutely.
Yeah, unbelievable. I think it's 11 ingredients have been banned in the United States, which is just insane. So let's first talk about, I like introducing people and seeing a little bit about who you are, where you came from, and then I love talking about the past and then talking about the present. So give us a little snippet of your bio.
Okay, amazing. It's funny, when we first spoke, I recognized your accent right away because I was born in the US. I was born in New Jersey. And so, but I've lived in Canada my whole life, except for a couple of years. And so I am in Toronto, and I have 2 children and in their teens, which is a fun time. I actually went to school to be an accountant. So I have a master's in business administration and I'm a chartered professional accountant. I did that for many years until I had kids, and then I was fortunate enough to be able to stay home. And when the kids started going back to school full time, it was like, okay, what do I do? And I dabbled in accounting, kind of more flexible work, but I knew that there was something else that I really wanted to do. And so I went down a little journey of exploration there.
I love it. And of course, I love Toronto and I can't wait to get back up there again. Thank you for allowing us your baseball team for the summer because the
Yeah.
Toronto Blue Jays are playing in Buffalo and we get
Yeah.
professional baseball here. So someday I'll be back up in Toronto and we'll connect. So thank you for a little bit of your background history. So let's now talk about your cancer journey because you got cancer 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Tell
gonna
us a
be
little
10.
bit about that because it shocks your whole entire life when you get that word of you have cancer.
Yeah, so it was really interesting because it was actually right around that time when my kids were going to go back to school full time and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And the weirdest thing, I participated in a research study where they were testing for the BRCA gene at Women's
Mm.
College Hospital. And there were a lot of people in my community that were participating in the study. And, I think about it and it's crazy that I did that because my kids at the time were 6 and 5 and they were very needy and it was all the way in downtown Toronto that could take me an hour to get to. I had a 13-page summary to get through a history. Anyways, I participated, came back BRCA positive, and it was because of that they put me, I was not yet 40, I was months away from being 40 years old. They put me into the high risk breast screening area and I had my first mammogram like a month before I turned 40. And that mammogram showed something suspicious, and of course I went through all the checks. And so it was just after my 40th birthday that I was actually diagnosed with breast cancer. And standard of care here is similar to what it is there. You don't get your first mammogram until 45 or even 50, depending on family history and stuff like that. And I had no family history of breast cancer. So when I got that call saying that I was BRCA positive, I was like, what? And then the breast cancer came from it. It was a lot for my head to wrap around. But I was fortunate because if I didn't know, like I said, I wouldn't have found out I had breast cancer. My breast cancer was caught so early.
Wow.
So early. So it was 2 millimeters of invasive cancer and a whole slew of ductal. So I ended up having a double mastectomy with immediate reconstruction because that was the recommendation right out the bat. Like when I found out that I had BRCA, they said double mastectomy. I was like, whoa, I'm not there yet. Let me just see what's going on here.
Wow.
And then once there was cancer and I didn't have clear margins, I'm like, okay, I'm done. Take them. I'm finished. And so I did that. And then 3 months later, I had an oophorectomy, which is just taking the ovaries out.
Wow. So that was 10 years ago.
And that was 10 years ago.
So how has that impacted your life in the past 10 years?
So in many, many ways, going into surgical menopause was not so fun. And I couldn't take hormone replacements. And so that is very interesting. I felt a need to give back. So like I said, I was looking for something to do, and I felt very strongly that I needed to tell people my story. I felt like it was remarkable, and so people needed to know. And so I did a lot of volunteer work and I still do with the hospital, different for fundraising, but also just telling the story, talking about genetic counseling and genetic testing. And so I ended up doing a lot of fundraising for the hospital. And I found a new purpose in life.
So let's talk about something I love to talk about, the ingredients in our personal care products that we want to avoid, that so many people don't know about it. And I am a huge advocate for knowledge is power, and reading your ingredients and knowing your labels, because so many people are so unaware of it, and it is overwhelming to know and even understand what's in these products. So let's talk about some of the ingredients because let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about how you figured out you had to start looking at ingredients.
Yeah, so I love that you say knowledge is power, because again, if I didn't know I had BRCA, my breast cancer wouldn't be diagnosed what it was. So yes, knowledge is power. And so it was actually my breast surgeon, when she was discharging me, So I had my mastectomy and everything, and she was discharging me to my oncologist. And we had that last conversation, which you would expect, what can I do to reduce my chances of it reoccurring? And so we had that conversation, and it involved talking about what to eat, a healthy diet. We talked about exercise. We talked about yoga, always seemed to come up. We talked about sleep, all these things that you've probably heard of. And then she kind of just threw in there, make sure your products don't have any parabens in it. And she explained how parabens, it's an ingredient, it's actually a preservative that is commonly used in products. But it is been linked to, well, hasn't been linked to, it's known to mimic estrogen in the body. Okay. So your body doesn't know whether that is the parabens that go, everything you put on your skin gets absorbed into your body. So your body doesn't know whether that cream that you put on that has parabens in it, is that estrogen or is that parabens? And like I said, I had my ovaries removed. And part of the reason why I had my ovaries removed, yes, I was at risk of ovarian cancer, but it also became part of my treatment. Because my cancer was hormone receptive positive, it was feeding on the estrogen in my body. So I needed, right? So I had my ovaries out, and then my doctor was saying to me, make sure you don't put on any hormones, any estrogen or parabens in this case on your body, because that's not going to help your cause if there are any cells left over. So I started researching that, and I realized that there's a whole slew of ingredients that are under this category of endocrine disruptors or hormone disruptors. And they, like it sounds, they go into your body through your skin and adjust your hormones, play with your hormones. And we know what hormones can do to disease, to weight, to, activity, the way we feel, all those things, right? So, at that point, my kids were 7 and 6, and I'm like, they're developing. I got to watch what's in their products as well. Like I have to watch, right? So I went down the rabbit hole. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about these endocrine disruptors, and I learned a lot about other ingredients, unfortunately, that have been linked to cancer and are allowed in our products. And I was just like, why is this happening? Why is this allowed? And so I needed to talk about. I needed other people to know about it, and so that's how I learned about it, just from my doctor saying it.
Yeah, and you learned about it after, and of course now what you're trying to do is trying to get people to learn about it before they get breast cancer, before they have an illness, because these chemicals disrupt not only our hormones but so much in our bodies. And as you said, your kids are developing, and these organs are being developed, and their bodies are being developed, and these chemicals are wreaking havoc. So I love that you went down that rabbit hole, but a light went off in your head. And I love collaborating with people like you, because we're all holding hands together in this world to say, we need a change. We need everybody to start realizing what is really happening here with these products in lotion, in deodorant, in makeup, in lipstick, in toothpaste. It's everywhere. And people don't understand that. And it can be overwhelming. You and I chatted a little bit about that. It's one step at a time, like you did. You took it slowly and started realizing what it was. But it's important for people to really just take one action at a time, and you will slowly reduce these chemicals. And it's proven that once you reduce or change the products that you are using, it has been proven that these chemicals start exiting your body.
Yeah, there was a study done in
Mm-hmm.
California where they took, blood sample of teenage girls
Mm-hmm.
when they were using the regular products, and they tested for hormone disruptors. And then I think it was like a week. It wasn't a long period of time, but it was only a detox of a week. And they used all clean products and took a blood test again, and there was a significant difference.
Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I know there was a study of, I don't know if you saw the one, it was about food, and a family they were tested for all these different chemicals. They didn't eat any organic food. They put them on organic food for, I think it was 10 days. and tested it, and all those, maybe not all, but the majority of those chemicals were then not in their system anymore. So it's pretty drastic when you make a change that you can alter the chemicals in your body. So, so parabens you mentioned, are there any other ingredients that you want to mention that potentially people should be on the lookout for when they're looking at labels?
Yeah, so actually the first one I look at, just because it's easy and it's a massive red flag, is fragrance.
Oh,
right?
yeah, we call it the other F word, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's the first thing I look at, and don't be fooled by unscented, because unscented just means that they're putting, if you look at any product that said unscented, if you turn it around, it'll say fragrance in the ingredients, because they put something in it to mask the fragrance of the other ingredients. So there's some tricks that you need to know, but whenever it says fragrance, perfume, scents, I put it down. And the reason being, and I'm sure you've spoken about it, but fragrance is a trade secret. The companies don't have to tell you what concoction of ingredients they have put in there to make it smell that way. So as soon as there's fragrance, I know there's no point in me reading the rest of the ingredients, because whatever I'm trying to avoid could be in the fragrance word. So the company's not being transparent, and down it goes. And you know what? At first, I have to say, it was a little difficult. I'm like, you mean I can't use this and I can't use that? There are great smelling products that use natural ingredients that are safe to use, and you don't have to pick up something with fragrance. There's some really incredible, even perfumes, like, I don't know what you would call them. Like, I got my daughter some great, I stopped wearing perfume when I had my daughter. Just something, I didn't even know what I know now, but it was just something about having my daughter nestled up to my neck where I would put the perfume normally. I'm like, I don't know, this doesn't seem right. So yeah, there are great smelling things.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned the perfume and fragrance, and that law of the trade secret. And here's history again, because I always feel like if you understand the history, you might be able to realize where we are now, where we were and where we are now. But the fragrance trade secret was originally developed by the perfume industry back in the 40s or 50s, when they were coming out with all of these different scents. And they were the ones that claimed that if we put fragrance on, we do not want to let you know what's in our fragrance. And that was the law that was written back then, and we still have that law. And anybody could make a product, any kind of product. Let's just say laundry detergent, and you can put the word fragrance on there, and you can put whatever you want in that laundry detergent under the trade secret of fragrance. So there's multiple amounts of chemicals that can be used under that trade secret, and perfume is another one. So it's very backwards. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Is there another ingredient you want to mention?
Yeah, so phthalates is another one. So it's part of the endocrine disruptors, and it has been linked to a decrease in sperm counts. I don't know if you've seen, yeah. So, and fragrance is in a lot of products. It makes ingredients more pliable, and it makes things stick. So you see them in nail polish often. You'll see it, they use it in fragrance and in perfume because they want the smell to last longer. Anything that they want to stay, you'll see phthalates in it. And it's something that you definitely want to avoid. I actually have a long list of of ingredients if people want.
Oh, good. Well, I'll direct them over to your Facebook group or your Instagram page. But it's those three things that you brought up: phthalates, fragrance, and parabens. You will start seeing, or maybe people that are listening already have, you will see paraben-free, fragrance-free. Those are very big keywords, but always read the label still, because they might take those out, but the label might also show they're using something else, and it's a tricky thing that many of these manufacturers are doing. And it's great that they're taking out those ingredients, but they're putting in other ones. So it's we have to be our own watchdog, and or we have to use products that we know and trust. And I want to talk a little bit about how you got into clean beauty, Sharon, because I know you're with Beauty Counter, and Beauty Counter has done some miraculous things with the products that they have provided to for sale. And let's talk about that a little bit now. Excuse me, how you got involved in clean beauty.
Yeah, so I thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, there's a lot of greenwashing out there with the clean products. So I realized as I was going down my rabbit hole, it was really hard to find clean products until I learned some of the tricks. And one of the big things I learned was it was much easier to find brands that had your best interest at heart. So, right, before profit and everything else, that really cared about what we care about, which is our health. And then once you vet the brands, you can kind of say, oh, I can use anything from this brand, right? Like one of the brands, Seventh Generation, like I use all their products because I know that it's clean kind of thing. There's a company here in Canada called Green Beaver, and they make toothpaste, and they make all sorts of shampoos, and they make a deodorant or whatever. So I quickly learned it's easier to do the work and go on a company's website and see what they're all about, rather than, I'm not going to name any names that I don't trust, but rather than going to the company that had a paraben product, and then now they say big writing paraben free. So I'm kind of like, you've known for a long time that there shouldn't be parabens in this, and now you're doing it because we're kind of catching up. Right. So those are the things I kind of look out for. And to your question, how I got involved with Beauty Counter, well, I had my list of ingredients that I wanted to avoid. I knew that, you know, I needed to look at the integrity of companies. And so Beauty Counter launched in the US 3 years before. So I guess it would be 2013 they launched in the US. And then in Canada, they launched 2016. And someone had just sent me a link to it and said, hey, do you want to come check this out? And I remember being on vacation and I was looking at it and I was like, oh, it's going to be another company that's greenwashing or whatever. And I looked at it and I was like, holy smokes. And I was really impressed. I was impressed for a number of reasons. I was impressed, because they had all the ingredients I was trying to avoid was on their never list. Then they would go a step further and actually look at contaminants. So not only were they making sure that lead wasn't in your lipstick, it was actually making sure that the ingredients they were using, they batch test every ingredient. And then there was the advocacy work. So I've had meetings with federal representatives. I've had 3 meetings now over the last 5 years, where I've been able to speak to a federal representative and say, hey, you know, this is what happened to me. This is my breast cancer journey. This is what my surgeon told me. This is how hard it's been for me to find clean products. And I've spent tons of time learning, but not everybody has that time. And why should they be? Why are these products available on our shelves? Like it just shouldn't be allowed. I mean, some of the, you know, one of the ingredients that I didn't go through because there's a couple of them, but there are ingredients that are called formaldehyde releasers, right? And so it'll never say formaldehyde on your products. You can look at the label, it'll never say formaldehyde, because we all know, like we can smell it from biology class, right? We know that it is a carcinogen. But in this shampoo bottle, when this ingredient and the formaldehyde releaser comes into the bottle, a chemical reaction ends up happening and there's formaldehyde in the bottle. Why is that allowed?
Which causes cancer.
Which causes cancer. And the companies know it.
Yeah.
And so these are the kind of conversations we need to have to actually make change. So I felt that I needed to get involved. I also felt like this was a way that I could find a purpose, right? This was my new purpose. I would needed to educate people, help people find new thing, and then also, finance my passion, which is helping the research that's being done at the hospital. So, I started not knowing exactly what I was doing, but the people who kind of said, "Okay, I'll jump on with you. Let's see what this is like," have loved the products. The products are incredible. I mean, I'm still doing it 5 years later. So people are really happy with the quality of the products. And that has evolved over the years, because in the beginning, even when I started looking, some cleaner products, I remember some smelling like dirt, like they didn't always smell so good and whatever. But the products have evolved, like I'll tell you. I'm seeing it happen. So, I love being able to educate people, and whether it's Beauty Counter or it's another product. I love being able to make people aware of what is out there and what is legally allowed in our products.
I love that you're an activist. So you are trying to make changes, which I love. And I know Greg Renfrew is the owner of, she started Beauty Counter, and I know she's very active in our policies here in the United States. So I appreciate everything she's doing. I follow her as best I can, but I'm sure she's behind a new law that was it might have been passed, or it's just got one more step to take, about getting PFAS, which is a whole nother chemical we're not going to touch on here, but it's getting chemicals out of beauty care products. So it's a step in the right direction. And, hopefully Canada and the United States will start realizing this, because all of these politicians are starting to see what these chemicals are doing, not only to their children, themselves, and others. So thank you for all that you're doing, Sharon, and getting your voice out there. So how can people find products that they can trust? Beauty Counter's one. Is there, we can steer them to you, and I want them to, look you up, but is there any, like, they might not have access to, what can they do? People are like, well, it's on the shelf at Walgreens and Rite Aid, and if it's on the shelf, it should be okay, and it's not.
Right. Yeah. So there is an organization, I'm sure you know about it. Oh yeah, we spoke about it. Environmental Working Group. So their website is ewg.org, and they actually have an app as well. So you can download it on your phone, and you can go down the aisles of your Walgreens and scan a product, and it'll give you a toxicity rating. And you can even drill down to see, okay, so it's 1 to 8, 8 being the worst, 1 being the best. And you can even drill down and say, well, my product got a 4. What does that mean? Why did it get 4? You can drill down, and it'll tell you what ingredients and why it got that number. So that is I would say that is an incredible tool. That is where I learned a lot. So yeah, there are EWG verified products. So I would look there, and I would start there.
It's a perfect answer to letting people use a tool that is free. And even if you reduce your exposure to these chemicals, because some of these products have the 7s and 8s, even 4 and up, are toxic and potentially cause cancer, or they have toxic ingredients, that you could find other products that are less of a burden to your body. So it's all about reducing the load of toxic chemicals in your body. We can't avoid them all. They're in different things. They're around us at all times, but the more you can reduce your load, the better, because that is, your body can only handle so many toxic and harmful cancer-causing chemicals. So is there anything you want to end on here and let others know about avoiding?
No, what I would say is that the way we make change happen is by talking about it, and talk more and more people talking about it. So like you said, Greg is talking about it. She spoke about it in Congress. So the more, if you learned something here today, I would say tell someone else about it, and tell someone else to listen, because that's how we get change to happen. So I think I would leave you with that.
That's great. Yep. And read your ingredients, know your labels. And if you want to follow Sharon on Instagram like I do, she's at sharon.i.newman. And I will put this in the notes. Also, she's got a Facebook group page. And Sharon, they can find you there at Sharon Newman. Is that right?
Yep. Yep. So the Facebook group actually is facebook.com/groups/Sharon Newman.
And that's Newman, Newman. And
Newman.
and any other, oh, Clubhouse. Clubhouse. She's at Sharon Newman or at Sharon Newman on Clubhouse. If anybody's on Clubhouse, that's where Sharon and I connected, and we'll be seeing each other on Clubhouse again. And actually, we're talking about doing some other collaborating
Yes.
Down the road, which we definitely will do. Did I miss anything with your social media?
No, there are some links in my bio if you want to. I think there's one right there with a clean beauty cheat sheet. So you're welcome to pick that up in my Instagram bio. And that's it. Thanks.
Yeah, clean beauty cheat sheet is great because it will give you some ingredients to be on the lookout for, right, Sharon?
No, so that one, I have that one as well. I'm not sure if it's in my bio right now, but I can put it up. This one is where to find a clean deodorant, clean hair products, clean. So some of it's beauty counter, some of it's actually I have sanitary napkins, different things like that. So links to some clean companies, so you don't have to make yourself crazy looking for.
Wonderful. That's great resources. So we've done the hard work for you. Sharon's done the hard work for you, and you can trust her resources that she provides on her bio on Instagram. So it was a pleasure having you here today, Sharon. So glad that we can share our knowledge. It's